here with the one and only Jim Lampley. Now, Jim, we got the darkest and saddest news in boxing today. Muhammad Ali passing away.
I mean, that's a long story. I'm born in 1949. I lived in a small town in the South. I had relatives who were racists, and I had neighbors who were racists. And I was taught that racism was the ultimate cardinal sin, and that I would never be on the wrong side of that equation. So I watched Cassius Marcellus Clay win an Olympic gold medal in Rome in 1960 and fell in love with what I saw in the ring. And then as he came back and he forged his career, and among other things, he became a fearless advocate for racial equality, my love affair just deepened, and eventually my mother had moved me to Miami, and the very first live prize fight that I ever attended was February 25, 1964. I saved car washing and lawn mowing money for months to buy a ticket to Cassius Clay versus Sonny Liston, and I came home that night and got up on the roof of my house screaming, "I've upset the world, I'm the greatest of all time," etc., etc., taunting my neighbors who had rooted for the ex-con to zip his lip, and I never could have dreamed at that moment, 14 years old, that I would become a professional boxing commentator, etc., etc. And then the other great personal experience beyond that is in 1988, I was the MC of the Boxing Writers' Dinner in New York. It took place at Trump's Hotel, the Grand Hyatt, and it was a very hectic day. It was a long day. Ali was speaking that night. We had a green room at the hotel for those of us who were involved in the Boxing Writers' Dinner, and I had my 8-year-old daughter with me. And at one point, late in the afternoon, I had to go out and run errands in Manhattan for a couple of hours, and I needed somebody to watch my 8-year-old daughter, to babysit, in effect, for her. And Ali came over and said, "Let her stay with me." And for 2.5 hours, Muhammad Ali taught my daughter magic tricks and told her jokes and played with her on the floor. And when the whole experience was over, my daughter said, "Dad, exactly who was that?" And I said, "Someday you'll know." So
that's by far an amazing story. I wasn't waiting for this one. Talk to us about Salido versus Vargas. Are we going to see a rematch? Because that was an insane fight. I wasn't expecting so much punishment on both ends.
I think because it ended in a draw that a rematch is possible, very likely. And you always wonder, all right, is there any way that they can possibly duplicate what they did? Usually they don't come quite as close, although the third fight between Barrera and Morales was as good as the first one. But Ward Gaddy was a little bit off second, third fights. I think Salido, I'd like to see him again against Lomachenko. Let's settle that issue once and for all. And I'm not sure about Vargas. Vargas has had 2 incredibly difficult fights in a row. He deserves a break.
Our last question, will we see Canelo Alvarez versus Gennady Golovkin?
Someday.